What's up, good people? It's your boy Home Boom, and this is the Hold Up Show. Love and light to everyone. Hope everyone is having a good weekend so far and not letting the rain get them down, because the rain is cleansing you with God's tears. Because he loves you and he's expressing that love, You need water on them flowers, That's the only way they can grow. So, you guys miss me? I know it's been a couple days, you know what I'm saying? This last strawberry moon is, having your boy tired, man, and I've been on my healing journey, on my meditation, on my grounding, on my exercise, loving myself, making me the priority, as you should, It doesn't hurt sometimes to be selfish, we all need to recharge, we all need to realign, we all need to stay in tune, because sometimes when you lose that connection, things can get a little shaky, baby. And with each passing day, I'm feeling more and more back in my energy, back in myself, back in my power. And just showered with love, just showered with clarity, just showered with, the confidence that I'm on the right path and that everything is working in my favor for the greater good of me being my higher self. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it. I am loving it. I'm still doing my chakra baths. I'm still doing my Reiki healings. I'm still rocking the crystals, you know what I mean? I love these things, man. I should have been got me some crystals long ago, Right now I'm readjusting my designs on them, trying to come up with something more fancier, It was a little bit of a rush job, because it was my first time, because I was so excited to just have a little project that I was working on to, just something different, you know what I mean? And exploring these healing crystals, And I just think they're pretty cool, On my Game of Thrones, you know what I'm saying? Cause look, it kind of looked like the Starks emblem, you know what I'm saying? That lone wolf. You dig? You see that wolf in there? Yeah. Trust me, I didn't plan it that way. The Lord, those stones attracted me, and I just answered the call, But today, I'm in one of my favorite places of the park, where I had most of my downloads and spiritual, highest spiritual awakening callings, I've had a lot of interactions with a lot of exotic birds. I had an eagle flying over my head, and it just felt very mystical and just very, just very enlightening and just very peaceful. It just made me feel like I'm right where he wants me to be. I'm right in the bosom of the divine creator's love, and he was happy to have me back home with him. And I was feeling so many energetic changes, and I was having so many conversations with my angels and my ancestors who pulled me out of the fire and guided me to this place, because I'm really starting to believe that Cooper River is a holy land that has not been told to us. Like there's something here. There's some type of magical healing properties here, and you know I just always feel good when I come here. And I've run into a lot of destiny helpers along this path, a lot of good souls that seen my aura, seen that I'm leading with love and always had, and seen that I'm coming with the best intentions to help in any way that I can, to educate or enlighten on whatever I have knowledge on, and trying to absorb whatever love and insight that they can give me. Just being very appreciative of the people who helped me get to this point in my healing process. I don't want to say any names. I don't want to put those good souls on blast like that, but they all know who they are, because it's not just one or two or three people. It's been several people that have been drawn to me and just want to see me win, and I just want to reciprocate that love back to them, because I always just wanted to see them win, and I always was happy for them when they progressed and did something in life that they wanted to do. Like, I'm not afraid of anyone else shining around me. I'm not afraid to lift you up and support you on whatever journey that you're trying to get. And it was just finally good to feel and see that people, there are still good people in this world that want to see me on that journey and see me on that path. And I had to make an important phone call, because the energies that have been coming into me and transforming my perspective and transforming my energy to remember, who I am, reconnecting with my past lives and my inner soul and inner voice and subconscious. And I can feel that energy running through my body, and I can feel my heart chakra being repaired. I can feel my root chakra being repaired. I can feel my crown chakra tingling with just enlightenment of, knowledge that's been bestowed upon me through my bloodline. And at first, I was scared of what was happening to me, as far as like, just the feelings and the synchronicities that I was having. But I was, reminded by my ancestors and guardian angels that this is God. Like he is reawakening me. He is taking me through this kundalini, as what they call it, spiritual awakening, however you want to word it. And it's just been feeling so good. I just want to stay. I just want to stay in that zone and not entertain anything negative or anything that's just not for my greater good or not contributing to my, highest self, and yeah, just trying to rebuild and reestablish and reciprocate all those things that I've been feeling. And there's a person that I needed to reach out to, and because I was looking for some clarity on some things that before I was old enough to acknowledge anything on the spiritual side, that maybe they seen something or maybe they were told something along that journey that they never relayed to me, and just try to reopen those lines of communication no matter how difficult they have been. And that that person has been my mother, and it was great to talk to her regardless of how turbulent and tumultuous our relationship has been throughout my life. I still love the lady and the vessel that God chose to bring me here onto this earth. And I had some questions. I had to ask about, was there anything special that happened, on the day that I was born, or in the transition of her going into labor, or during her pregnancy, or, even right after I was born, was there things that she seen, and was there, just any signs, that, her son, is possibly connected to a higher source in a way that she may have realized early on, and it was good to have that conversation. I got to see, like it was like finally, like I got to see another side of her that I've been waiting to see, and waiting to connect with since I became an adult, or since I became aware of the person that I was, evolving into in those mid-teens. Like I knew I was different. I knew I wasn't into all the things that other people in my environment were into, even though, I might have, dimmed myself down, or hid myself to try to fit into what the, what the environment was into, knowing like all things that I wasn't always aligned with that, just trying to be in the mix. But you know, a lot of the answers and a lot of the insight on things that you know, she experienced and she felt or went through, or that she acknowledged or was, you know, was able to recognize in me, that she might have not relayed to me, you know, during that time. It was just really finally good to see and have those conversations with her. Even though, like, you know, it might have started off rocky, but we got, you know, we started to get to the nitty gritty of what I was trying to get out of her, as far as, like, you know, the responses that I was looking for. And I, you know, regardless of my truth and my observation of our relationship, I always still loved and prayed for her, as well as my father, even though I have yet to, you know, even attempt to reach out or have that conversation with him. It was just good to start that process. It feels like this is the next step in my healing, you know, is to, regardless if we fully reconnect or not, at least I extended that olive branch, and I initiated those difficult conversations that were needed to be had, you know. And I feel as though there may be some more people, you know, that I need to have that conversation with. And I don't necessarily know who those people are yet, or I should say the, you know, how God or the divine creator may initiate or may tell me who's next to have those conversations with. But it was just good to start, you know. It was good to just get it in motion, you know. And it's like today, you know, I guess my theme of this video is family, friends, associates, and strangers. Because I believe nothing is by accident. I believe nothing we go through is not part of our path, you know. Like, yes, there are several realities and timelines that we could be on, depending on the decisions we make throughout crucial moments in our life that we don't even know are crucial moments. I'm just happy that God reassured me that so far along this journey, I've always chose the position, or chose the path of leading to my higher self, and never cursing, condemning, or blaming him for my circumstances. Like, I'm always going to have that smile on my face, and I'm always going to be in good spirits regardless of whatever's going on. Like, you just won't know the struggles or the battles that I've been through, whether they're in this 3D reality, or if they're mental, or if they're in my heart and spirit, you know, those internal battles, you know. He just reassured me that I did the best that I could, and I handled it. I handled those things with as much class as as my heart and mind would allow me to during any of those situations. And I'm just happy that when I hear from certain people that might have at one time been a stranger or been an associate, now have become part of my soul family, or, you know, I now can consider a friend because we have that better connection, that they just elevated to a different place in my spirit. And them also letting me know that I've always had a positive effect on their life, or that I may have helped them heal or acknowledge something that they were ignoring in their path, so that they could initiate some sort of healing within them. Now, they might not all be looking to take the route that I took, or even may not be ready to run through the grass barefoot and all that, or look to you know, deeper meditate, you know, and take those steps that I took. But hopefully with God's good grace, that they do find a way to connect that way, or whatever way is best for them, you know. I mean, everyone knows how I feel about church or religion, and how they go about things. And, you know, there's just not something that I fully agree with their practices or how they handle things. But if it's getting you to have that closer relationship with God, so be it. You know, I'm not here to deter anyone's path. I'm here to help heal. I'm here to help enlighten, and I'm here to help teach the best possible way I can in the powers and frequencies that He allows me to connect with people in that way. And, you know, sometimes when I think about some of those conversations that I've had with people, or just, you know, me visiting the grave sites of my grandparents and other relatives, you know, I get emotional, you know. I get emotional. It was like, as soon as I got on the grave site, you know, like, as soon as I pulled in the gates, you know, I'm crying like a baby, you know. I'm crying like the funeral was happening right then and there, you know. Like sometimes when you feel them around you and know that they're watching over you and still protecting you, it's just such a beautiful and warm feeling. And you gotta share that to the world, because you gotta let them know they didn't die in the words of man, you know. They didn't they experienced a death, right? But death is not what you always think it is, because, you know, when you have certain toxic relationships or friendships and you put a death to them, you don't die. The situation and the connection dies, and either you ascend, or you descend, depending on which path you choose to take into the situation. And I'm always looking to be at the next higher level. I'm not looking to go backwards. I'm not looking to look back, and I'm not looking to condemn myself or live in guilt of, you know, whatever I got through, or whatever decision I made then to get me to this point now, because it was divine alignment, divine timing, and it was under the guidance of the divine creator, and it got me to this point because it was meant to get me to this point. And I'm just super appreciative of that, you know, like, and I'm just hoping that people can, you know, finally take the steps they need forward to get through those shadows and get through those traumas that they didn't know they had, or just weren't willing to address, you know. It gives me a different feeling inside knowing that I could help someone in that way internally, not with something material like money or gifts or anything like that. Like, of course I'm looking to help, you know, if you need my help, you know, changing a tire, you know, mowing your lawn, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, if you hold a special place with me, or even if you don't, yeah, if I just see that you're in need, you know, I'm looking to help, you know. And I'm glad, like, a lot of the strangers that I've run across, you know, being as though they may see my appearance or may see me with, you know, plaits or tattoos, or, you know, roaming around barefoot, or burning sage or burning Palo Santo, you know, just to make sure that my energy is clean, that they don't judge me, or they don't look at me some type of way like I'm weird, or I'm crazy or anything like that. Like, because once they have that conversation with me, they understand and they start to know that, you know, I'm a good soul. I'm leading with love. Like, I'm, you know, it is just, I'm just trying to be my authentic self. And it's like, even you know, to the lost souls or to the fake individuals, you know, is, even when I run across them, you know, it's still all love. You know, it's still no bad intentions for those people, even though I could see right through them, because, you know, it is never too late for anyone to find their way back to the light, to find their way back to the love, and to find their way back to the Creator, because we are God. I am God because I am made in His image. I am one of His children. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you see, you know, just an example, you see so and so Johnson, they be like, hey, that's Marty Johnson, you know, and you know, that's his son Artie Johnson, you know. And of course Artie Johnson is going to resemble Marty Johnson in some way, some shape or form. He might not fully embody everything about his father, but he has enough of his father's traits that, you know, he's a Johnson, you know what I'm saying? And you can resonate with that. Well, I'm a God, you know, because I'm one of His children. I'm made in His image. I I might not look fully like Him in the physical realm, but I embody the things that He embodies, and it might not be all the things He embodies because He is all powerful, but I have enough of those things that I know that I'm one of His children. So of course I'm a God, you know, whom boom God, you know what I'm saying? You know, and I say that with all due respect, you know, to the Most High, because I am one of His kids, you know. And of course I'm going to feel as though I'm made in His image, and, you know, I feel as though I am a supreme being in the light of His teachings and love, and then I'm going to continue to operate under that manner. You know, I'm still human. I still cuss. You know, I still have me a cigarette now and then, because that's one of the last things that I'm purging out of my system. You know, I haven't been smoking weed, haven't been drinking alcohol. I haven't, you know, really been doing the do, if you know what I'm saying. Like, and, you know, I just been trying to purify in the best way I can and stay close to nature, stay close to water, stay close to trees, and just, you know, feel what we really are meant here to experience as humans, whether it's in human form or whether you feel as though you are a higher soul placed into a human vessel to experience those things. Regardless of how you view it, you are here for a reason, and you are here to have an impact on the world. And never forget that. Find your purpose, find what you love, and let that light shine bright, so that you do leave a mark, or you do elevate and progress your bloodline, or your kids, your seeds, so that they can grow, that you're watering them properly in so many words. Like, even though I didn't have that everyday connection with my kids, and my oldest, I didn't even know anything about him. He found me on Ancestry.com, and he looked more like me than all the others, and it's even with the one that I still haven't met yet, because of the Lord keeping me out of the midst of the negativity of who his mother and how she operates is. I always feel as though like he's going to bring us back together, and I'm going to be able to pour into him in a way that I hope that I was able to pour into him, in a way that I would have wished I would have been able to pour into him during this time that, since he was born and up to this moment, so that he knows and feels that, I didn't abandon him, and I didn't want the circumstances that happened to have happened the way that they did, because I did want to have, help in molding and shaping the person that he was going to turn into. So yeah, like, life is funny, because strangers cross your path, and like, I was at a pond, just chilling, staring at the sun, just over a drain hole in the pond, and with the geese and the ducks and all that just around, just chilling. And it's just out of nowhere, this kid just comes up to me, and he just starts having a conversation with me, and I could just feel the pureness just oozing off of this kid. And he just was talking to me like he knew me forever, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, yeah, like, you fish, we got catfish here, we got some snapper turtles in here, we got some groupers, or whatever other type of fish he was saying. And he was like telling me about what rods I should, what fishing rods I should use, and asking me if I got some bread on me, and he could show me how to pull up the snapper turtles and all that. And it was like, like, look at this little guy go, you know what I'm saying? It was, it was just like, wow. Like, and I was like, sure, show me where the snapper turtles, show, like show me what you see, and it was just so good, And I introduced myself to him, said, what's your name, little guy? How you doing? I'm Calvin. He was like, my name's Daniel. And I just immediately felt like he was some type of, God sent being. Like, are you like Archangel Daniel or something? You know what I mean? Just coming to just, express some love to me or something like that. That's how I was looking. And then out of nowhere, he's like, hey, guess what? He said, why God favors dogs over cats? And I was like, like, that was real random. Like, nah, why does he favor dogs over cats? He's like, spell dog backwards. And it was like, where did that come from? Like, and that's what I really felt like the divine creator was just here at that moment. He just wanted to share a moment with me, And it was just like, man, this cannot be by coincidence. Nothing is coincidence. This is unreal. And we had a little conversation, and he wasn't able to kick up the snapper turtle, but he got all these. It was like 20 other little baby turtles coming eating all his bread up. And it was cool, and it was just funny because it was just the kid just walked up. He got this Rubik's cube, and I'm look at this guy put the Rubik's cube together. He not even looking at it, and the colors is lining up, and he's talking to me, and I'm like, man, this is this is special right here. This is special, and I run into just other strangers in the street, or just going to Wawa, and they'll speak, or they'll, see my sneakers, or because a lot of people like these particular sneakers that I got, and they'll just start asking questions, and that'll just turn into another topic, and then they'll just be giving me a look like you seem so different than your visual, like that's like the look. Sometimes they even say it to me, once we get into the conversation. Or I had this one conversation with this old lady, and shit, and I told her love and light, and the Lord will never let her falter, and she was like, I knew it. I could tell that the spirit was in the building, it was like, you could? And it was, and it was just like, she got closer, and she just like, she started touching me, and, I just was yeah, like, I'm glad I had this good effect on her, I'm glad that, she could see the divine in me, or see that I'm on another frequency there than that frequency is finally radiating out of me, and it was just it's just been good, and also, like, along this journey, a lot of these, people that I thought was friends really turned out to be associates, or really turned out to be strangers in disguise, because the way they even some family members, the way that they just fell off and disappeared so quick, it was I felt like it was divine creator showing me, like, yeah, we gotta move them out the way. We gotta get them away from you, because they ain't who you thought they was. They don't have the love for you that you might have had for them. They don't have the good intentions for you that you might have always had for them. They was looking to, they had other agendas, whatever their agendas were, they had them. And that's something they're going to have to deal with on their time, when they have to answer for their actions, and their intentions, and who they plan to be, and how they plan to have an impact on this world, because just because you got the same blood, I finally understand it. That really doesn't mean that you're family, or you could be around a particular person or energy for decades, and it never was what you thought it was. It was always something else in their eyes. And I'm just happy that he was finally able to give me the powers of discernment, and the powers of clairvoyance, to finally see past the mask on a lot of these people, or see the bad intentions and aura on them coming towards me before I even let them open their mouth. I just pivot away from them, because a lot of those individuals could even, hide their ways in good acts of kindness, you know, or good gestures for the moment, you know, but they can't hide what's inside of here. They can't hide what's eventually going to ooze out of them, and it is normally bad or negative intentions or just an evil aura because of whatever traumas or whatever situations they ain't healed from or deal with, or just, you know, that's just the frequency that they choose to live in. That's just what they're comfortable with, and you just gotta let them be. You know, you just gotta let them be who they be. You gotta go off and be who you need to be. You know, I always had that you know, being that only child, I always had that buddy system type of, you know, uh behavior about me, that I was always trying to bring someone along with me, you know, on my journeys, when it, you know, maybe God was just trying to show me like that, you know, things in this life, you're going to have to, you know, travel those roads alone, because this is your path, not their path, not our path. And if it's our path, it'll be shown, excuse me, it'll be shown that it's our path. But in the meantime, you need to walk your path and walk it unapologetically and in your most authentic self and your most true self, and always lead with love. So that's the message, and that's the you know, that's just what I'm looking to spread, you know. And sometimes, for as hard as it is for certain people from that old me to believe that, or see past that, that's just something they have to deal with. You know, that's not something that I have to deal with. I'm going to continue moving forward with who I am and who I want to be when it's all said and done. For not only me, but for my kids, for my bloodline, for my ancestors, for my grandparents who watched over me, and for the divine creator who sent them and gave them the ability and the power to watch over me. So, you know, so yeah, I hope this helped someone. I hope this got your mental clarity the rolling. I hope that this opened up something in your heart to start you on your path, or to start you to release that negativity out your heart, and to start, you know, rebuilding your mind, your body, your spirit, and your connection. So it's your boy Hoon Boom. This is another segment of the Hold Up Show. Hashtag He Saved Me. Hashtag faith. Hashtag gotta believe, you know. I would like to thank all the new subscribers that chimed in, and you know, that are sharing the messages, that are watching the shorts, watching the videos. You know, please try to watch all the videos to the end, because it might be something said in there that you miss, or a message that might have an impact or effect on your life that you don't want to turn it off too early not to receive, you know. No matter how dark it may have been for me, or how, no matter how positive it might have been for me, or how it may have triggered you in a negative or sad way, sometimes you gotta just get through it to receive the message. You know, I hear, like, you know, my videos are long, but it just is what it is. When the spirit gets to talking through you, you gotta get it all out. So it's your boy Hoon Boom. Hope everyone has a safe weekend and gets to enjoy their time with their family, or gets to enjoy their time elevating themselves to their highest self and doing whatever they need to do to get to that path. So, peace.